Hello and welcome to Weekend News on the SLBC television. With me, Ami Masakoy. Coming up in this edition, President Bill awards over 60 nationals and non-nationals on the country's 58th independence anniversary. First Lady Fatima Bio encourages Sierra Leoneans to be loyal to the country and not individuals. And Progressive Youth Organization concludes 3-day training course on the leadership for over 20 young girls. All these stories and more lined up in this edition of News Hour. Over 60 citizens and non-citizens have been awarded by President Bill for outstanding contributions to the country. Some awardees who spoke to the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation said they were happy to be recognized for their contributions. The awards were part of the country's 58th independence anniversary. We bring you highlights of the events which took place at State House.
His Lordship, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Desmond Babatule Edwards. Dr. Kona Koroba, you have been recognized as a commander of the Order of the Rokel. Michael Sel. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General Brima Sise.
I am Lieutenant General Brima Sise. I am the Chief of Defense Staff. and I'm highly elated to be because of this award that I've achieved. His Excellency the President. It actually shows that good work is recognized. When you work hard, you work well, you will be recognized. And that is what has been done exactly to me. Myself and my family, we are completely happy today. It has given me more life to work, honestly.
I am Major General David Talu, the Deputy Chief of Defense Staff of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces. Well, you must have heard when they were doing my citation about my role, especially in the war in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Sudan, and all of us have represented Sierra Leone in most peacekeeping missions in Africa, to say the least, apart from the war in Sierra Leone. Because of my training, I'm expert in jungle operations and urban operations.
In short, I feel great. I feel elated. I feel like the best teacher ever I lived. I feel so great and honored and bestowed upon me for what I did in the line of duty, not realizing it was good for me and for my future. Today's ceremony and this award in particular has crowned all accolades I received in the past, more especially from people of the whole school. I'm most grateful to His Excellency the President, and all his staff who together put this idea together to think of an old man all the way in Bo to come and be honored in this great manner. I'm humbled by it.
It's great because some of us small people, we do a little thing in the corner, nobody knows what you're doing.
Why do you describe this as small person?
Oh, well, it's a small business I run and I try to encourage people in small business. Trying to develop themselves. So that's where my focus is. And unless you do big things and make a lot of noise, people don't realize what you're doing. That's why I said some of us small people are in a little corner. And we just try to encourage people because I believe passionately that business will not sell you and will make sell you grow. And we can only start from the bottom up. So small businesses, try to encourage them, give them as much support as they need. They develop, they become 2 people. Businesses, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, that's how they develop. And as long as they develop, they employ people in certain areas.
Daniela Beckley, the chair of the Teaching Service Commission. So I feel very happy. I feel very humbled because this government has been only a year in office and they have recognized my service. I have always been passionate about service, even without expecting anything. Because what drives me is the anticipation of good results. I work for results. I work for outcomes. And it makes me very happy when I deliver, I achieve, I see good things happening for teachers, for children. We are not there yet, but I hope that we will be there as early as possible. We don't have time, we're running against time. Teachers have to feel happy that they're in the profession, and the profession itself has to be recognized as a worthy profession.
My name is Dr. Sandra Leco. I currently work at the Aberdeen Women's Centre, and previously I worked with Well Body Partnership at the Children's Hospital. It is a great honour to receive this award from His Excellency today. It is a privilege to be able to work in Sierra Leone and to serve the women and children in this nation. I am very grateful for this recognition on this Independence Day. Thank you.
First Lady Fatima Bio has called on Sierra Leoneans to be loyal to the country and not individuals. She was speaking at an event to mark the 58th independence anniversary of Sierra Leone at the National Stadium. The event saw the rolling of over 1,700 feet length of the national flag. Princess Gibson reports.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're rolling out. That's the longest ever. The longest ever. The longest ever is 1,700.
The rolling of the 1,706 feet length of the national flag by over 1,000 personnel demonstrates unity in strength. It is in a similar vein that the First Lady Fatima Bio called on Sierra Leoneans to give their loyalty to their country.
Our loyalty should lie not to an individual but to our nation. We should be able to love our nation more than we love ourselves. We should put our country first at all times. And that's the reason why we're here today. I want to say thank you for honoring our invitation.
She described the event as a commemoration in line with the 20% achievement of the National Gross Domestic Product pronouncement by the President. There is a debate mostly among Sierra Leoneans on whether independence anniversaries call for celebrations. The 58th independence anniversary, according to the Chief Minister, Professor David Francis, requires the recognition of strides so far by the new administration.
58 years of independence, what have we got to show for? His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, has given a unique gift to this country, this great country. That is the free, quality education. With this gift, I have no doubt that Sierra Leone will rise again. And with this gift, I have no doubt that Sierra Leone will again be the heartland of West Africa. I have no doubt that with this free quality education gift, that this country will conquer poverty and emerge as a middle income country. I have no doubt that under the inspiring leadership of His Excellency the President, retired Brigadier General Madam Yu, will we end corruption in this country. And I have no doubt that under the inspiring leadership of His Excellency the President, this new direction administration will change and transform Sierra Leone.
He said independence anniversary are going to be observed on a low key until the nation pays its bills.
The message is very clear. We will not celebrate independence. We will only commemorate independence. We will only do so when we are able to pay our bills, when we are able to pay salaries of teachers, of nurses, and police officers, and military officers. We will not celebrate until we are able to pay our bills. And His Excellency the President has said, until we will meet the 20% of domestic revenue mobilization making up the gross domestic product.
The Chief Minister thanked Sierra Leoneans for the turnout to the National Stadium as a display of patriotism. March past and musical performances formed part of the ceremony. Princess Gibson, SLBC News.
The Progressive Youth Organization has concluded a 3-day training course on leadership for over 20 young girls. The training session on the theme Female Gender is not a limitation but an advantage is to prepare young girls to take over leadership positions. The event took place at the Scripture Union Hall, Pademba Road, Freetown. Joseph Ture witnessed the ceremony and our reports.
Empowering young girls for leadership positions is timely for the fulfillment of the Sustainable Development Goals 16 for an inclusive society. The 3-day session looks at how young girls could deviate from stereotype views that often prevent them from realizing their potentials in society. Keynote speaker Kamarel Kamara said society should not define their destiny and they should do their best to serve as change agents. She told the girls to always inculcate positive thoughts and be self-confident in all spheres of life. Other speakers include models in society who encouraged the girls to aim high and not to be complacent with what they have achieved so far. Some of the participants underscored the importance of the training and promised to share the ideas gained from the session.
So actually I learned that we should put our perception or superstition thinking that what a man can do, a woman cannot do. If a man can be president, a woman can be president. If a man can be a minister or a pilot or an engineer, a woman can be that too. So I think these are some of the things that we learned here. I've learned to be a good leader. I was not a good leader back then. But after training organized by people, I've learned to be a good leader in society. And moreover, to empower girls. I can say that now I feel stable.
The award of Certificate of Participation climaxed the event. Joseph Toure, Freetown.
Sierra Leone and Guinea have agreed to establish a permanent joint commission. The decision was reached after a series of engagements held in Conakry, Guinea, between the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Sierra Leone, Dr. Ali Kaba, and the President of Guinea, Professor Alpha Condé. The Minister of Foreign Affairs was in Guinea on a 2-day visit to address the impasse at Yenga. Rose Konima Stevens has more.
Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Ali Kaba, extended felicitations from President Julius Maada Bio, whom he indicated considered the planned events in Guinea as laudable to further strengthen the already existing ties between both countries. He noted that the new direction administration is determined to ensure that the historically warm and friendly ties continue to flourish between the countries and their people. Dr. Ali Kaba, however, reiterated that to further strengthen the family ties and bonds, concerns about reports of land and maritime encroachments at points along the Sierra Leone-Guinea border are to be resolved, stressing the pre-existing impasse of Yenga, and delivered a letter from President Julius Maada Bio to President Alpha Condé, in which the said concerns were outlined. Dr. Kaba acknowledged the relationship between the two countries, which he said runs very deep, noting that it is firm with ethnic, religious, social, economic connections, thereby the need to take concrete actions through increased sensitization, coexistence, and address border disputes, as well as engage in economic ties for mutual benefits. Both parties agreed to establish a permanent joint commission of cooperation, which will serve as a sustained framework to deepen mutually beneficial economic ties and also provide a vehicle to address problems within the context of a special relationship and proximity between the two countries. The minister raised concerns about the premature seizure of a Sierra Leone-operated fishing boat and the subsequent levying of a substantive punitive fine on the part of Guinean officials. To enhance the free flow of movements and greater people-to-people exchanges, Dr. Ali Kaba also disclosed government's commitment in ensuring free movement of the respective government buses across both countries and agreed that action be taken to ensure their smooth operations. President Alpha Condé noted the significance of peace and stability within countries and that leadership should work hard to sustain both countries for the good of their citizens. He called on Sierra Leone and other countries in the Mano River Union to work together to deepen and strengthen the ties in the region and the African continent in general, including support to the establishment of a sub-regional airline. Dr. Ali Kaba extended an open invitation to the Guinean authorities to visit Sierra Leone so that the Permanent Joint Commission could be launched as a matter of urgency, as was agreed by both parties. For SLBC News, Rose Konima Stevens reporting.
The Sierra Leone News Agency, in collaboration with the Ministry of Information and Communication, has officially launched the Sierra News newspaper. The launching, which was done by the Minister of State Office of the Vice President, Frances Algali, was to ensure accurate, timely and reliable information of government programs and other developmental issues. Joseph Toure witnessed the ceremony and now reports.
An effective print outlet news agency for the dissemination of government policies and other developmental issues has been one of the challenges limiting the flow of news from one place to the other. Rebranding of SLENA is a step to improving journalism in the country. The focus of the launch of the Sierra News newspaper by SLENA and the Ministry of Information was to get a balanced flow of accurate, timely and reliable news. Minister of State, Office of the Vice President, Frances Algali, in launching the newspaper, noted professionalism is expected in disseminating correct information that will represent the socio-economic values of the country.
But on behalf of the Honorable Vice President and the government of Sierra Leone, it is my privilege and honor to give you Sierra News.
Minister of Information, Mohamed Ramanswari, pledged government's commitment to supporting SLENA and urged them not to engage in unprofessional conduct.
I will be very pleased to see you desist from reporting party politics here, except it's so much. This is not an outlet to report party politics. I mean, political parties have their own papers, and I know those outlets are more than competent enough to report the activities of those parties. This is a government newspaper. We will expect you, as much as possible, to report on the achievements of government, on the activities of government, and be those foot soldiers that will ensure that government business is taken to every nook and cranny of the country using existing or emerging infrastructure that this institution will put in place.
He added that they are working assiduously to repealing the criminal libel law. Other speakers, including IMC chairman, a representative from the Parliamentary Committee on Information and Communications, told media practitioners to do their best in executing their duties and to cooperate with existing institutions that regulate the media. Representatives from specialized agencies of the UN, including UNESCO and UNDP, pledged their unrelenting support to SLENA's development. Joseph Toure, Freetown.
Bolori Transport and Logistics has updated the media on its port expansion at the Queen Elizabeth II Quay. Expand the port, operate it and later return it to the government. Asmi Bara was there.
Sierra Leone is known to have one of the best harbors in Africa, but its size has been a key challenge, the reason it has not been attracting many bigger ships. This port expansion has now made the port to attract more ships and a space to keep huge cargo of containers. It has also increased the volume of containers that a ship discharges per hour. It is a surprise to many that this company has been in Sierra Leone since 1965. Country Manager, Bolori Transport Logistics Captain Fabanjko Kokan told newsmen that Bolori operates in 104 countries and 45 of those countries are in Africa. Captain Kokan spoke of their mega projects in Ivory Coast and Ghana and their port expansion in Sierra Leone, which began in 2016. The Sierra Leone port expansion, according to Captain Kokan, cost the company $121 million United States dollars.
No one company can be successful without Speaker. One of our main target was always to increase the human capital.
Human Resource Manager, Bolori Transport and Logistics, Chlorina Morgan, said the company has 402 staff, many of whom have undergone trainings overseas. On the issue of capacitating locals to take over from expatriates, Madam Morgan said the company had 13 expatriates, but gradually they have been phased out, leaving only 5. Communications Officer Gassimu Fofana said the company has embarked on tangible community development projects that have helped the surrounding communities. Their interventions, according to Mr. Fofana, range from scholarships to the building of community center at Moaf and the rehabilitation of the Ross Road police station, among others. On the conducted tour of the extended ports, journalists were shown some of the newly installed ship-to-shore cranes, which have made work easier and faster.
Well, I'm standing on top of one of the ship-to-shore cranes. They have 2 of these cranes here. The height of this one is more than 100 meters long. That's where I'm standing on top of it now. I can also tell you that more than half of this is also on top of me. This is one of the newly installed cranes that Bolori has installed to ensure that the clearing of containers from the ports becomes easier. According to the information I have gathered, this crane discharges 45 containers per hour. The target for 2019 is going to be 50 containers per hour. Once that is reached, it's going to ensure that the issue of clearing containers from the port becomes easier for business people.
According to the container terminal manager Abubakar Sise, the new facilities have improved the operations of the port. He said the current space can accommodate 3,780 containers. For now, according to him, they are discharging 42 containers per hour, and their target is 50 by the end of 2019. As the country is gradually opening up for business, the key infrastructure in Sierra Leone is to attract more foreign direct investments. Bolori is going to be in charge of this facility for the next plus 20 years, while government is having 20% shares of the company's investment. For SLBC News, Asmiuba.
Provided relief items to victims of the fire disasters at Kube community. Assorted items were given to the victims. The move was a show of solidarity to the fire victims. Ibrahim Samora reports.
Kube is one of the slum communities in the municipality, which has suffered several shocks and disasters, ranging from flooding, rising sea level, and fire outbreaks. Just a few weeks ago, the Kube community was again engulfed by another fire disaster, leaving properties worth hundreds of millions of leones destroyed. Since the fire outbreak, this is the 4th time the opposition APC has rendered a helping hand to these fire victims. The relief items were provided by APC MPs. Leader of the APC party in Parliament, Honorable Chernoba, said the gesture was to show the party's solidarity to the fire victims. Honorable Chernoba consoled the victims, noting that just after the incident, the party visited the community and donated learning materials to the children, also citing donations by the Stay Red movement and the national executive of the APC party. Honorable Ba admonished parents to send their children to school, especially the girl child, and take advantage of the free quality education scheme.
Today we went as APC caucus. We went there as a caucus, and the reasons are very simple. One is to continue to confirm that we sympathize and have the same feeling that others should have for those who are vulnerable. But secondly also, the holidays are around. The Easter really has just passed, the independence is coming up, so we thought it wise that it would be good for us to send food items for these people so that they will have something to share whilst the holiday period is on.
Other members of parliament, including Honorable Alusen Alukonte of Constituency 125, said they wanted to show love and to help ease the sufferings of the people. The lawmakers assured the victims of APC's support at all times. Beneficiaries appreciated the APC parliamentarians for always thinking of them, especially at a difficult time. According to them, the relief items came at the most needed time, especially on the eve of the independence celebration. The parliamentarians were taken on a conducted tour of the burnt houses. Many of these houses have been rebuilt by humanitarian aid. Ibrahim Samora, Freetown.
The PKF Mason Hill Sierra Leone has held a session to discuss issues of economic empowerment of women on the theme Margin of the Minds, Leadership and Influence Through Economic Empowerment. The forum, which was held at the Hub Hotel Wilberforce, brought together influential women from the political and socio-economic fields. The platform was also meant to motivate other young women to do more. Joseph Ture witnessed the ceremony and now reports.
Women constitute 52% of the country's population according to 2015 census, though some significant results have been achieved in women attaining senior positions in governance, yet the area of economic independence has been a challenge. This platform was an opportunity to these women to share their experiences on various fields including business, politics and other related spheres. They noted women should be ready to fit themselves to compete with men in their workplace and business. Various speakers also identified that they need to engage in continuous learning to upgrade themselves to the contemporary trend. Numbers they registered should not override quality, as that will make the difference wherever they find themselves. They called women present to support one another, as that, they stressed, has limited them over the years. Madonna Thompson is the coordinator of PKF Mason Hill Sierra Leone. She underscored the importance of the program.
We are moving from the challenges now into solutions. We don't even want to hear about the challenges. We're just getting together, doing a roadmap from this, putting action plans together and actually taking action, and not only reaching out to the urban areas as well, but also to the rural as well, because as has been said by some of the panelists and some of the guests, is that there are also a lot of economic empowerment that needs to be done with young women and girls also in the rural areas as well.
The ultimate concern is to see these fantastic ideas being put into action. Joseph Ture, SLBC, Freetown.
Famous Nigerian gospel musician Uche Agu is in the country. He is here to grace the Elevated Praise 2019, which is scheduled to take place over the weekend at the Golden Tulip Hotel. Other gospel musicians are expected to feature in the event. Our reporter Amara Sumaila was at the Freetown International Airport and now files in the report read in the studio by Soriba Samora.
Millions globally, as he's successfully done in Africa, Europe and the Caribbean. He infused his musical brand with the vibrant sounds of techno, rock, reggae, Latin and traditional gospel sound with the roots of raw African rhythm. Uche Agu garnered fame in the Africa diaspora as the soloist on the South African Musical Assembly Joyous Celebration's contagiously popular hit, My God is Good. With well over 3 million views on YouTube since its release in 2009, he has cultivated audiences and the headline performer for over 70,000 on tour throughout the continent. His popularity led him to perform for some of the largest congregations and audiences throughout the USA, Caribbean islands, United Kingdom, Amsterdam, Italy, and Germany. Mr. Uche Agu said he has motivated several gospel musicians across the globe, and he is in Sierra Leone to praise God and to share knowledge with Sierra Leonean gospel musicians.
I'll be singing with my brother Joseph also. The team is coming from Nigeria. It's going to be a great time of praise and worship and collaboration between, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and also putting Sierra Leone on the map of the world. When I put it on social media, I'm coming to Sierra Leone, people are like, wow, you're going to Sierra Leone, wow, when it is going to happen. People were excited, even on the plane, people were excited that we're coming here to be a part of what my brother Joseph is doing.
The manager of Elevated Praise, Elvino de Souza George, remitted that the show will bring a turnaround in the gospel music industry in Sierra Leone.
National President of the Temne Development Council, Issa Mohammed Katko Kamara, has called on all tribes to be united for the development of the country. He made this call after the Friday Juma prayers at the Masjid Muhajirin Mosque at Bassa Town in Waterloo. Frances Danema reports.
Even though the country has not recorded any major incidents of tribal conflicts, it was quite evident that the country was divided on tribal lines during the 2018 elections. Issa Mohammed Katko Kamara started a campaign to unite the tribes in the country immediately after the 2018 elections. His efforts led to the formation of the United National Community Development Association that comprises different tribes. Representatives of the 16 tribes present spoke about the need for unity among all tribes. Public Relations Officer, Council of Tribal Heads, Western Area, Kande Kamara said all the tribal heads present agreed that Issa Katko Kamara should head them because of his efforts in uniting all the tribes in the country. Speakers from the community stressed that the community is underdeveloped and needs basic amenities like healthcare, and that they need more support for Muslims in the community. Addressing the community people at Bassa Town, the National President, Temne Development Council, Issa Mohammed Katko Kamara, thanked Sierra Leoneans for maintaining peace after the electioneering process. He said they should all realize that they are Sierra Leoneans and should avoid tribalism for the sake of peace. He called on them to pray for the current government to succeed so that their demands would be met. He said Allah instructed all Muslims to pray for their leaders even if they did not vote for them. He assured them of his support for Laila too. SLBC News, Francis Ndanema reporting.
The Minister of Health and Sanitation, Professor Alpha Tijanuri, has launched the Malaria Social Behavior Change Communication Strategy. This was in observance of the World Malaria Day. The launching took place at the hockey pitch Wilberforce. Daphne Kema Macaulay reports.
Malaria has been described by many as one of the most common and deadly diseases in the world. According to statistics from the United Nations, almost half of the world's population are at risk to the disease, and that almost 2/3 of the people that died of malaria were children under 5 years. The United Nations set aside 25th April as World Malaria Day. This is to give special attention to the fight against the disease and intensify the efforts by partners. The theme for this year is Zero Malaria Starts With Me. The Malaria Social Behavior Change Communication Strategy is to map out ways to intensify the fight against the disease in Sierra Leone.
On behalf of His Excellency Brigadier Retired Julius Mada BPO, I now officially launch Malaria Social Behavior Change Communication Strategy.
The Minister of Health and Sanitation, Professor Alpha Wuri, said the war against malaria cannot be fought by the Ministry of Health alone, but also with efforts of partners. He observed that women are important in the fight and that it is vital to seek medical attention in time. He encouraged people to be hygienic and emphasized that the treatment for malaria is free in all government hospitals. The United States Ambassador to Sierra Leone, Maria Brewer, said the United States is proud to recognize the partnership it has with the government of Sierra Leone in the fight against malaria. She said the U.S. government saved more than 7 million lives in 2000, adding that this year's theme is in recognition of the fight against the deadly disease.
Know that fighting malaria together makes us more effective and achieves a greater impact than any of us could do alone. Countries are best positioned to beat malaria with strong partnerships behind them. American partnership, including technical and financial commitment through the U.S. President's Malaria Initiative, or PMI, as well as the U.S. contribution to the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria.
Head of China Center for Disease Control, Professor Khan, said China is ready to assist the government of Sierra Leone to fight malaria, adding that China is willing to do all it could to control the disease in their own way. Director of National Malaria Control Program, Ministry of Health, Dr. Joanna Smith, said so far there has been 40% reduction in the death rate, but emphasized that there is need for scaling up of efforts in the fight. A representative of the Freetown City Council and Councillor of Ward 437 Wilberforce, Amnata Sise, said the fight against malaria starts with proper hygiene programs, which she said is why the FTC is scaling up efforts to clean the Freetown municipality. For SLBC News, Daphne Kemak-Macaulay reporting.
President Julius Maada Bio has said that his government added 900,000 United States dollars to the remaining $1.5 million in order to meet the construction cost of the $2.4 million bridge at Lumley. This, President Bio noted, was to ensure that locals were employed as part of the workforce. He made this statement during the opening of the Sengepier Memorial Bridge. Hawamosi reports.
Less than 6 months ago, the President commissioned the start of the work on this bridge. He told the audience that there was a time when road projects were exorbitantly costed, poorly planned, poorly coordinated, and never completed on time, as those in charge then cut corners and pocketed millions of dollars from those roads construction contracts. President Julius Maada Bio highlighted that the last government allocated $4.4 million for the construction of the bridge over an 18-month period, and they were in power for 11 years but never built a bridge in Lumley. The president said the people of Sierra Leone deserve to know what happened to the $4.4 million allocation.
There should have been a second bridge several years ago as part of the original Lumley-Toke Peninsula project funded by our development partners. The last government allocated $4.4 million for the construction of this bridge over an 18-month period. They were in power for 11 years, but they never built this bridge. The people of Sierra Leone deserve to know what happened to the $4.4 million. I promise the people of Sierra Leone that under the new direction government, we will deliver purposeful and well thought out infrastructure projects that are affordable by this country, transparently well managed, and purposefully designed to serve the inclusive needs of all Sierra Leoneans.
The president acknowledged that what the project demonstrates is very simple, that his government can build bridges and roads that meet international standards faster, better, and for less money, adding that they can also do infrastructural development without officials stealing millions of dollars meant for the project.
My government maintains a long-term and holistic approach to infrastructural development. So in addition to the bridge, my government deems it necessary to build a bigger and more conveniently located market and transportation interchange for minibuses, taxis, and other commercial vehicles. We also intend to build a connected pedestrian flyover across this road so that commuters can walk across the road safely to the market and to the transportation interchange. The Office of Presidential Infrastructure Initiative has undertaken comprehensive assessment and planning. Once we finalize discussions about financing sources, work will commence immediately.
President Julius Maada Bio told the audience that his administration maintains a long-term and historic approach to infrastructural development, and in addition to the Sengepier Memorial Bridge, his administration deems it necessary to build a bigger and more conveniently located market and a transportation interchange for minibuses, taxis, and other commercial vehicles.
As we aspire towards the values of leadership with integrity and persistence, it is but fitting that we formally commission this bridge after a national hero who resisted slavery, stood up for justice, and returned to make the lives of his compatriots even better. With that, I formally commissioned this bridge, the Saint-Pierre Memorial Bridge.
The project was directly monitored by the Ministry of Works and Public Access and the Sierra Leone Roads Authority, according to the Minister, Raymond de Souza George. The project was launched in November last year, and they are now assembled to commission it. The benefits of the first-class bridge in the country cannot be overemphasized, and the heavy traffic on the community will now be less easy and accessible. He said the community appreciates the People's Republic of China for their support.
In making the deeper west of the western area more easily accessible, this bridge is also a key to unlocking the enormous potential of a continuously growing city. As I express our appreciation to the government and people of China, the SLR, the contractors whose tireless efforts have resulted in the successful completion of this project.
Chinese Ambassador to Sierra Leone, Hun Zhenling, disclosed that the construction of the second Juba Bridge is an important decision made by the government of Sierra Leone, especially President Julius Maada Bio, to break the traffic bottleneck in Freetown and improve the people's quality of life. He said on the request of the government of Sierra Leone, the Chinese government made special arrangements and provided urgent assistance to co-fund the construction of the bridge together with the government of Sierra Leone. Chairman Infrastructure Initiative, Dr. John Tabi, stated that the new direction government believes in putting Sierra Leone and the welfare of the people first, irrespective of tribe and religion. The bridge, he said, was constructed in 5 months, adding that the old ways of doing construction are gone, commending President Bio for initiating the Infrastructure Office to improve development.
We believe in Sierra Leone, and we believe in the people of Sierra Leone, and we believe that power Sierra Leone will be better. And we believe by this evidence that Salon can be better. However, for Salon to for better, we need to come together, we need to work together in peace, love, and in conviction and commitment to the vision to transform our nation.
The Director General of SLRA, Amarakane, noted that when the president took office, his main agenda was to fight against corruption, poverty, and lawlessness, and this is what he has demonstrated in the construction of the Saint-Pierre Bridge. So many lessons, he said, have been learned during this construction period, commending People's Republic of China for the quick intervention. A documentation was also signed by the Chinese ambassador and the chairman of infrastructure for the completion of the project. In another development, President Bio signed the Book of Condolence for Honorable Momodu Eskimo Mansari of Constituency 043. SABC TV News are in Freetown. Musiri reporting.
And now for African news. It is the last day of campaigning for legislative elections in Benin, where voters will head to the polls on Sunday. But the process has been marred with controversy as no opposition party will be on the ballot. The Electoral Commission blocked 5 opposition parties from taking part in Sunday's polls on a technicality. The 2 parties that met the criteria are loyal to President Patrice Talon, who has been in power since 2016. The opposition have held demonstrations in the city of Cotonou, which have featured 2 former presidents. There are fears that with no opposition parties in parliament, the country's democracy could be weakened. The World Meteorological Organization says it is unprecedented for 2 tropical cyclones of such intensity to have struck Mozambique in the same season. The UN body described the current cyclone season in the southwest Indian Ocean as exceptionally intense, with 15 storms and 9 intense cyclones. The WMO has sent a team to Mozambique to look at the country's preparedness for such extreme weather, and it says discussions with the authorities are likely to look at how the country has been affected by climate change and rising sea levels. Officials in northern Mozambique are assessing the damage caused by Cyclone Kenneth. Just last month, another cyclone Idai left hundreds of thousands of Mozambicans homeless. Sudanese protesters have performed the weekly Muslim prayers outside army headquarters, a day after vast crowds of demonstrators flooded Khartoum to demand the military rulers cede power. Thousands gathered for the prayers. On Thursday, thousands of protesters filled the streets of Khartoum calling for an end to the country's military council. Many had traveled in from across Sudan to take part in the million-strong march for civilian rule. A mass sitting outside the military headquarters has been taking place since 6 April. The protesters were demanding the president stand down and the military take over. 5 days later, President Omar al-Bashir was overthrown and replaced by a military council. But this wasn't enough for the protesters, who are still demanding that the military hand over power to a civilian administration. And now for our entertainment news. On the 27th of April 1961, Sierra Leone became an independent nation. In terms of entertainment, the country has produced numerous talented people in drama, modeling, poets, dancing, traditional performances, and singing. Our entertainment reporters Millicent Lunge and Marilyn Samo went around the city asking people on what the country has benefited so far in terms of entertainment. Compiled by Mohammed King Milan Bangura.
On the 27th of April 1961, Sierra Leone became an independent nation. As the country celebrated its 58th independence anniversary, one will want to wonder what the country has benefited so far in the past 58 years in terms of infrastructure, business, tourism, culture, and entertainment. In terms of entertainment, the country has produced numerous talented people in drama, modeling, poetry, dancing, traditional performances, and singing. The National Dance Troupe for one has achieved accolades for the country internationally. Drama groups like Tabule, Ronco, and Kailondo Theatre had done a lot in expressing their skills on stage performances. Writers and composers like the late Clifford Nelson File and John Hakar did their best, especially in writing and composing the national anthem. Also, the late physical challenge composer Samuel Campbell, former headmaster of the Miltimagai School for the Blind, composed the National Pledge, which helps to remind citizens to be law-abiding and exercise love for our beloved country.
Go and come tomorrow night.
Musicians like the late Ebenezer Calendar, Big Fire, S.E. Roji, Salia Koroma, to name but a few, did their best in creating space for musicians like Jimmy B, Steady Bongo, Emerson, and more to follow their footsteps in order to boost up the entertainment industry. As the country is now 58 years old after our independence, one will want to ask, has the country achieved any accolade in the entertainment industry? This was the question posed to some citizens to give their views on how the entertainment industry is now in the country after 58 years of independence.
Currently, we haven't seen much. Look at music, I say, it's a way to give messages, I mean, whether to the government, to the common people, about things that we know. Also good.
I see that the entertainment industry is trying to pick up. We just finished the Housemate. and they have other programs they want to come up with. They're trying. It slowly begins to pick up.
The industry of musical or entertainment is concerned, we have moved an inch forward. We are far back. When you compare us to Ghana, Nigeria, and the other countries, we are way back.
I think the industry is doing really good, especially for the past 1 or 2 years. I can see some amount of improvement. Like I think we had this Big Sister show, and we have this Housemates. I'm seeing a few new artists coming up. I'm seeing movies. I'm seeing comedians doing their shows. I think we had one a few weeks ago, Kindo Amani a few days ago. We had Richie Obama. And I can see a lot of potential in the industry. And I believe with these improvements that we see, I can see a lot of prospects, and I believe in the next few years we'll get to the peak in which we all want to see.
Well, the entertainment industry have grown very, very much, and see, we have more stand-up comedians, not only those that do the joke thing. Now we have people that do it properly and still do proper comedy. We also compliment those who are doing the joke thing.
To end the news, the main points. President Bill has awarded over 60 nationals and non-nationals on the country's 58th independence anniversary. First Lady Fatima Bio has encouraged Sierra Leoneans to be loyal to the country and not individuals. And Progressive Youth Organization has concluded a training course on leadership for over 20 young girls. Well, that's all in this edition of News Hour from SLBC Television. I have been Ami Masakoi. Thanks for watching. Good night.